What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the In Motion podcast. I'm Sam Coates, and I'm not sure what episode this is. I believe it's 6 or 7. 6, I think. Also, we may be making a change to the name of the podcast again. We already did it once. Might as well do it again. We're still working on that. So if this isn't the In Motion podcast when it's released, whatever it is, don't be shocked. So today I was just going to talk over mistakes that I've made in my creative journey, kind of why those mistakes were made, how I worked around them, and what I do now instead. And so the first one I want to get into, and Kyle and I are very pro this, and that is waiting too long to start posting myself. If you see any of my social media, obviously you can see that that's no longer a problem that I have. Posting every single day, posting the work that Kyle and I do. I'm such a big believer in this because I think it's important to just get yourself out there. I think that something makes you uncomfortable. That's the exact reason why you should do it. If you're looking at social media and you're like, I don't really want to put myself out there because X, Y, and Z. It's almost like public speaking is kind of how I look at it. It's like, we don't really get many opportunities to public speak in day-to-day life. So instead of going up on stage and talking to all these people, you can do it through your phone. Now, it's not the exact same, but the idea is kind of there where it's like, why are you nervous to post? Are you nervous because, because what people might think about you? Are you nervous because you don't feel like you have anything important to say? And so my argument there would be like, well, if you're posting every day, you're going to have to find something important to say. And no, your first videos are not going to be great, but you're going to get better over time. And so it's a good way to just get comfortable talking about the stuff that you already know. So that's kind of off on a tangent, but posting your work too is extremely important. I mean, how else is anybody going to expect to know what you do if you don't put it out there and post? And so that was a mistake that I made for the longest time. I mean, going back even to like college, Kyle and I started our content creation journey when we were 20, and I just started posting every day 3 months ago. So obviously it's 5 years where I didn't post as much as I should have. Now it got better because in college there was zero posting at all. But now it's every single day. It's going back through old stuff that we've shot for drifters, editing it again, posting it, letting people see it, letting people see the work that we do. And, it lets people who are potentially looking at hiring you, it gives them some confidence that you actually know what you're doing. And you're not requiring them to completely trust you. They can look at what you've done and go, okay, this is not a gamble for me, as it would have been if I'm sitting here telling you I can make these awesome videos, but you've never seen proof of it. So I think that you just need to post as much as you can. That's what I waited to do for a really, really long time, and not waiting anymore. And so I'd recommend that you do the same. Another mistake that I made was thinking that quality was the most important thing that your video could have. Making sure, like, how it looked was the most important thing. Don't get me wrong, that's extremely important. But I think a lot of people can get caught up in what lights do I have, what lenses do I have, what gear do I have, what editing software do I have. And it gets really easy to get bogged down in all that stuff and really stop you from creating because you're never going to have enough. I mean, take it for somebody who has been compiling equipment for the last 5 years. There are still things that our company, I say needs, there are things our company want that would make our creative better. There always is. There's always going to be, all the way down to Reds or kimonos or whatever. Like they're some expensive cameras that would be awesome to have, but they're $20,000, and honestly, for the most part, you don't ever really need them. Shooting on an FX3 is about all you really need. So don't get caught up thinking it's your gear that's keeping you from growing. Going back to the last point, it's like it's not as much your gear as it is the fact that you're probably not posting everything you're doing. And if you let what gear you have slow you from doing more work, you're going to end up never growing because you're never going to do the work. That is what forces you to grow, right? So, Kyle and Cooper talked about this in one of the podcasts, but it's not necessarily about it's about more. It's about doing more, and that's how you'll get better. So it's not about having better will get you more. It's about doing more will make what you do better. And that's a jumbled bunch of words, I know, but it does make sense if you kind of think about it. So yeah, I would just suggest do what you can with what you have. Go out there, film, make content, work with clients, understand the processes, and then grow. And as you pick up more clients based off the work you're doing, you'll make more money, you'll buy better gear, and it's just that's the cycle. So keep it up, and you will, it's not quality holding you back. The next one I have is thinking views meant success when that is not really the case. I've thought that for the longest time. Like, again, going back to college, the podcast that we did, looking at each piece of content that we did post and going, okay, why did this one get more views compared to that one? And thinking that views were the end all be all. I know now that that's not the case. I know there's conversions, shares, like all or shares, reposts, all that is way more important because it means people resonate with what you're doing. More important than viewership. Views are great, but if you chase views, you will not make content that is necessarily unique to you. You're going to be trying to make content that's unique to the masses because that's what a video that's been viewed a bunch of times, that's what that is. It's something that everybody resonates with. But that's not necessarily what's best for you, because if you're making content that everybody resonates with, you have to be just chasing trends, because if you live in a certain lane, there's going to be stuff you do that people just don't understand, Also, views do not lead to conversions. We talk about this all the time, but the amount of views your videos get does not mean you're picking up new clients from that video. If you have a video that does less views, but business owners are watching it and they understand what you're talking about, or they go, oh, I need that. You're explaining a gap in the market with a good call to action. That will end up getting you more business than a funny video that, I'm trying to think of an example. I had a video where I talked about how there was no bread in the grocery store during these storms, and it did all right. Got 5,000-6,000 views, which for me is a great video. But that's not going to lead to a new client for Drifters Media, because I didn't say anything that would make a new client go, I want to work with these people. But a video of me explaining why creative is so important in today's age, well, that might resonate with a business owner and make him go like, man, I do need to have a social media presence. I need to be online, and this guy understands it, and so I'm going with him. And so that's why, having content that actually is saying something important is so important. So don't chase the views all the time. Chase the content itself and the material of the content, and make sure that that's really solid, and then the views will come. I think the last thing that I'll kind of talk about that has really slowed me down in the past is just overthinking every single post that I make. Overthinking the caption, overthinking the content of the post. Um, that stuff's important. You don't want to say things that don't make sense. Going back to my last point, but if you take so much time worrying about what you're posting that you don't post, it's kind of like going back to the gear thing. Like if you worry so much about having the right gear that you don't post, well then you're not going to grow. And it was the same thing. Like I would look at my posts and I would make a video that I think was solid, and I would just go, man, does that actually make sense? Like is what I'm saying doesn't make sense. And the more I would think about it, the more I would get in my head, and then I just wouldn't post it. And then the next day I would do a new video. But does that make sense? I don't know. Get in my head, not post it. Well, if I just would have posted those videos, I would have gone, okay, they're not my favorite, but I can get better at this. And so that's a big thing too, is like doing it more will make you better at it. And then you just can't overthink it, I guess is my point here. And I did that for a long time. So I know it was a short podcast, but those were some of the things that I have struggled with in the past. And since it's been great, working through those, finding new problems to try to work through. There's always gonna be problems, but just make sure they're new problems. So that's the end of this podcast. I'll see y'all next time.